Let's call Dan.
All right, Dan.
Calling Dan.
I understand if you're at work and you can't answer. I get it, bud.
Hello?
Hello, is this Dan?
This is.
Hey, Dan, Paul, Outsider Tackle Box radio show and podcast. We have Tommy in the studio. He actually showed up today,
Hey, what's going on, Dan? And yes, I did.
and he remembered to
Well,
say,
I'm happy that you're both there.
thanks for coming on the show, Dan. We're happy to have you. The idea behind the radio show and podcast is to spread happiness to the world through the joys of fishing, and we feel like fish stories do just that.
Yeah.
And so you sent in, and we shared it this morning, 2 giant fish, and we want to hear where you caught those fish. If you want to give up your secret location,
If
or
not, make it up.
make it up. What's bait you were using, and how much they weigh. And so this is your podcast. This is going to air worldwide. Actually, we have a following in Germany, and our boxes are sold there. But is it mostly nationwide podcast and radio show?
Mostly all 50 states, but we do have Germany as well, yes.
And we love to hear the fish story, so we're going to put it up for all your listening. Who knew that was a hard word?
You?
Listening. Is there an SH in
Dan,
there?
he has a problem with words. He can't
Well, that's
talk.
okay. I think it's still a little early for you guys over there on the coast.
It's
so.
early, but we opened the show with drinking, and by the time the show is almost over, I'm like 2 or 3 beers in.
Yeah.
Tommy's still drinking his one pink beer.
Yeah.
I on purpose, it's early, so Tommy doesn't really pay attention to what's going on. I poured him a pink beer, and
he poured me like a raspberry beer or something, and it's disgusting, but I'm muscling through it.
well, this is your podcast. Let's hear about your fish story.
Yeah,
let's
it's all
do
you,
it.
bud.
Those I was going to say, those are a couple walleye I caught here. I think it was 2 years ago in the fall. Some of the nicer walleyes I've caught, actually.
Wow.
I caught those actually right in town in Minot, North Dakota, out of the Souris River.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I actually limited out that night probably in an hour and a half or so. I think the smallest one was about 20 inches or so. You can keep 5. I wanted some walleye for dinner, so I was fishing for supper that night.
That sounds like a darn
Most
good
of
night.
the walleye pictures that we get, they're tiny.
A lot of them are smaller, yeah, but those are some pretty big beasts.
Those are
Yeah,
beasts.
those 2 were probably, 24, 25 inches, 5, 6 pounds, probably.
Yeah, no, those are pretty big ones. I appreciate that picture.
And are walleye more are they more active at night? I've never caught a walleye, so this is a great call for me because I'm
Yeah,
learning
they
as we
are
do.
more active at night. They're more active at night. I do a lot of bank fishing, so normally I go out, in the evening, right before night.
Okay.
I've fished a couple times from bank at night, but
Okay, so
normally I go out kind of in the evening, right before sundown.
So you catch that evening bite kind of thing.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, you can catch the walleye. They like to chase bait fish into the shallows
Gotcha.
in the evening, so I can find me a little edge to fish and catch them that way.
That pair did you well. Got you on the radio show and podcast, and you get to share your fish story.
That's it. Man.
And so
What bait were you using again?
I use for walleye, my go-to is just a 3-inch yum grub.
Okay.
Just kind of a
Yeah,
just a little twister tail.
Okay.
And then color, varies.
Yeah.
White is probably normally my go-to
Okay.
with just an 1/8-ounce jig head.
Yeah, everybody has their own color. It's kind of like their, some people just kind of have their own thing that they swear by. So, but that's awesome, man. And it was just the yum grub, the 3-inch yum grub. That's awesome. Just chased it right in.
Yeah, I do a lot of finesse. That's pretty much my go-to. If I'm fishing somewhere new, I'm going to throw on a jig and just do a little finesse jigging and figure out where the fish are, and that's where I start out.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for being so active on social media. We do notice, and so we want to make sure to give you credit uh, for responding to people and being a part of this discussion.
Yeah.
And it helps us spread um, happiness to others, and
Yeah,
you're doing just that.
and we know you got work or you got some plans today, so we're just trying to,
Thanks,
we
yeah, thanks
we
for
wanted
coming
to
on the
have you
show.
on the show for sure, but we also know we don't want to interrupt your regular day. So, you know,
Yeah, I made it work for sure. Yeah, I like being a part of it. I like the community you guys got going on Facebook and everything. It's great seeing
awesome.
what everybody's sharing and stuff.
That means my
I like
idea
it.
is working.
Okay, he's trying to take credit for the radio show and podcast. He has not done any of it. I was like, hey Tommy, you know what? Here's how it started, Dan. We get a ton of pictures, and people send in, of course, the story behind the pictures. And when you post it, nobody reads past like maybe one line. And so I was like, you know what?
Yep.
Let's have people tell their story, because you could hear the excitement. And so I'm not. Tommy's like, well, I don't know. And
And the reality of things, Dan, I showed up here to be the pretty face on
okay.
There you go.
on the
I was
radio.
gonna say Tommy might just not have been as interested because of then he had to get up earlier.
Exactly.
If he had done it later, had been more on board from the
You
start.
couldn't be more correct.
You hit the nail on the head. He's actually missed a few shows.
I haven't
couple.
missed any. I just missed the opening.
Okay, so one he didn't show up at all for.
Yeah, that one I did. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And
one.
there's no waking up Tommy. I mean, I knew that even though I called him 8 times, and I left a bunch of messages saying, you know, the idea behind having a radio show is to show up for it. Like we it's not free. Like we paid for this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so you got like, I'll just do the show by myself, I guess. And so
Okay, it was one time. Whatever. Most of the times I'm here. Whatever. I'm
You get
half
Tommy
awake.
a stunt double just in case he doesn't show up.
right.
There's no stunt double that looks this good.
There would be a lot of money if they had to pay for the pound by the pound.
Yeah, you got to pay by the pound. That'd be a lot. That'd be
You
costly.
just had like somebody. Well, that day we had Emily from Emily's Fishing Adventures. Thankfully, we had somebody to, and she was way better than you. But just we had somebody to fill
Yeah.
the spot.
Yeah.
But he does. We scheduled the fishing show around Tommy because I was like, "What time do you get up? Like, let's just do it."
11 o'clock.
like you could get him here.
All right, Dan. Well, we had fun talking with you.
Please continue to send us photos.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. I'll be sending some ice fishing pictures here soon, hopefully.
Please do,
perfect.
because we actually don't have a lot of ice
we had
fishing
we
pictures.
had one
We had
ice
one?
fishing call, but it was from last season.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear about that when you do it, and yeah, we'd love to have you back on the show.
Anytime. Anytime. Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man.
From
Take
all
care.
of us here at the Outsider, fish more.
Tight lines,
Tight
bud.
lines.
And get back to work.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Take care, bud.
Have
Bye.
a good one.
Bye.
Thanks, Dan.